Hey friends, welcome to Season 2, Episode 6 of Sassy AF TV, How to Embody Divine Feminine Energy and Your Goddess State. This week, I have the great pleasure to speak with Hara Thompson, a Chinese medicine practitioner, yoga therapist, and sexual health coach. Hara is passionate about helping women embody their deep feminine energy and embrace their orgasmic state to achieve maximum self-care and self-love. I learned so much from talking to Hara about how to heal through orgasmic release of any muscle in the body and how to break free from emotional baggage so it doesn't control your life. Hara encourages us to be more playful and have more fun to really create orgasmic energy. When we create the energy and release ourselves in this way, Hara says, we bring the joy and celebrate the goddess within. Join me as we celebrate your inner goddess. Here we go. Welcome back to another episode of Sassy AF TV. I am Hallie Avolio with Sassy Healthy Fit, and I am really excited to bring our special guest today, Hara. She is a goddess, and she embodies such a beautiful feminine energy. I love your message so much. I'm so excited that you're here, and I can't wait for you to share your story with the audience and teach us some tricks. I want to give a little teaser that you talk a lot about orgasmic energy. And I'm really intrigued by this, so I'm really excited for you to share more with the audience.
Yay, thanks so much for having me.
You're really so welcome.
To be here. And yeah, we're going to have some fun. We're going to learn about having fun and to be healthy. And get
That's amazing.
The life that we want. Yeah.
We were just talking before we hit record about having fun and how women, I'm going to make a bold statement and say, especially in-demand women, we sometimes forget to have fun.
I would say usually we often forget to have fun, and it's so important because when we have fun, it's easier for us to tap into what feels good and what is really what we need intuitively. And so, yeah, that's the focus of.
Oh no, I'm losing your sound, Hara. Uh-oh. You're frozen. I lost your sound.
Oh, all of it?
Yeah. It totally went out. That's okay.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll start over then.
Okay, well, we'll say that again. I'll just start that again.
Yeah.
I'll say the bold statement and then you can just say it again.
Okay.
I'm going to make a bold statement and say that in-demand women often forget to have fun. Why is that?
Well, we get so caught up in daily lives that our needs just get pushed aside, but it's in our needs, it's in our desires and our wants that we can find our joy. And that's where we really find our fire and our passion that we need to, create the businesses that we want, to live the life that we want, to find the romance that we want. In all aspects of our life, we need that inner fire, that passion.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. And I recently started taking some dance classes, and I caution myself saying this because I don't want to put words into my own head, but historically I don't have much historical experience dancing. And the type of dancing that I started doing is lap dance and pole dancing.
Fun, yeah.
It's super fun, and it is 100% out of my comfort zone, but I'm really drawn to it and I really love it. And it makes me feel very feminine and very womanly and very in touch with this mind-body connection, which I've never really embraced before, but I feel so free and I feel so open and non-judgmental of myself. So I really am embracing this side. And I know that you talk about that you embrace this goddess persona of yourself. And I'm wondering if it's similar, but I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that and how that's really helped you tap into the fun and the play.
Yes, definitely. And it's funny, you bring up dance, and dance is such an important piece of my personal practice, and I incorporate it a lot into what I share with people. But one of my favorite practices to really strongly connect with my deep feminine energy is a twerk. I do slow twerks, and we really develop a strong core energy that we can draw on when we need to, kind of push past our extra limitations or find that extra drive to do the things that we want to do. So dancing, twerking, having fun can really get those juices flowing. Embodying the goddess energy seems to me, from my experience, to be this natural outpouring of all of this feminine energy flowing through. And so when we unlock tension, we unlock all of this trauma that we're holding on to, and we can tap into that deep feminine energy, then we naturally start embodying our goddesshood, that natural energy that wants to flow through us and is so powerful.
And for those of you that are listening to this as opposed to just watching it, I just want to share that Hara, as she talks, I can see in her body movement, she's shaking her shoulders and she's kind of moving her body in a way, but it's beautiful. And it's so much like I can see I see and feel the energy, you know, not only in your body movements that are just so natural and coming out of you, but it comes across in your voice and your facial expressions, and it's beautiful. And I think that if we tap into that side of us more, right, it allows us to be free and feel empowered and to really live that life that we yearn to live.
Yes. My goal, my mission is to figure out, or has been to figure out, how to have the best of all worlds, how to have the fulfilling career, the happy family, the amazing personal life, you know, just really living all of those things, embodying all of those things that we want. And what I have found is that when we can tap into this deep feminine energy, when we can tap into all of our resources, right? Because we have so many resources that we don't even use on a daily basis. We might not even know they're there. And when we use all that to deeply relax and unwind, as well as building our core energy, then we can start to bring in more orgasmic energy, which is more of the masculine, the sacred masculine side of life, the really strong fire that can move through us and make things happen without stress or without hustle, without pressure. It just happens naturally. You need the marriage of those two. You need that deep feminine, you need to be that goddess, but you also need to embrace the God moving through you.
I really agree with that. You know, that connection, right? We can't just, we all have both sides of us.
We have both sides, and different people, you know, are more attracted to one side than the other. But for men, for women, for all humans, we really need to connect with both. In Chinese medicine, we call it yin and yang. You know, so you can think of it as a really deep feminine and a really strong masculine energy, but they stay in balance, and that balance is different for everybody. So it's about finding the balance that works for you. Sometimes when we need more drive, we need to, you know, get pushed past for some business stuff, or, you know, to deal with something else, we can draw on more of that strong masculine energy, but it always has to be anchored by our deep feminine power.
So how do we draw on that? How do we draw on that deep masculine energy and stay in that balance with our divine feminine?
I think by focusing on that deep feminine energy, we naturally become a vessel for it. So really it's about the balance of deeply relaxing and unwinding, which we do, I would say, most easily when we are experiencing joy. So, you know, watching a comedy show, doing some dancing if that feels good, whatever it is that naturally causes you to take a deep breath, to sink into your body. Then we can start actively cultivating practices that allow even deeper relaxation and allow us to open even deeper to that masculine energy. So it's not something that can be really forced. It's like a playful focus. You know, it's something that you want, that you're calling in. But most of the work is, or a lot of the work is internal. You know, there's preparing practices that we can use to prepare, you know, body work, acupressure, movement, things like that. But the decision to connect to that deep feminine and open to the sacred masculine is really an internal decision, and we just have to make it.
Right. No, that's awesome. And I know that you have a lot of background in, you know, Chinese medicine, acupuncture, different Eastern practices, right? And I'm sure that this has led you down this path, but maybe tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to this place where you've really started focusing on, you know, energy and sacred living.
Yeah, it's a really interesting story. I have been married for the last 15 years to a really amazing man. And we've had a lot of issues over the years, just, you know, struggling to find who we are, raising kids while, you know, trying to have careers and all of that stuff.
All that stuff.
All that stuff.
All the
So,
things.
yeah, about 4 years ago, we separated, and I was just really feeling a lack of masculine energy in my life. And physically, I was just really needing sexual energy and wasn't getting it. And so after meditating and kind of checking in with the goddess one day, she guided me to use my wisdom, use the skills that I've learned over the years through all my training, and apply it to creating orgasmic energy. And so I played around with it, and it worked. It was amazing. I was, without even needing to focus on like my pelvic area at all, I was just experiencing waves of orgasmic energy. And really it was through using orgasmic energy, I was able to find that deep feminine power and figure out how to, I would say over the last few years, how to connect it more to that masculine energy and learning how to use it to create the life that I want.
I'd love to talk a little bit about defining orgasms and orgasmic energy. I recently posted an article. I didn't write the article. I found it health.com or something. But it talked about 11 ways that women can orgasm. And it was a pretty cool article. And I think that it had some great information because it brought to light, many different ways that we can find this orgasmic pleasure that maybe we haven't thought of, because we usually just think of kind of the G-spot stimulation and clitoral stimulation and maybe nipples or something, but you don't really go into like 11 types of stimulation.
Right.
But I, and this sparked a really fantastic conversation in my community. But I'm really curious if you can, dissect this a little bit, because I feel like there's a lot of mystery around, the big O, right? That's always like the cosmopolitan has like how to get the big O. And I feel like society and culture has kind of set us up to make orgasms like this mysterious situation that only elite people get to experience. But I don't think that that's the case. So I'd love to know more about, what how you define orgasms, and especially as you're talking about it in a non-sexual, non-pelvic area situation.
Yes. So orgasms, very simply, are a contraction, a deep contraction of a muscle, and then a release of the tension in that muscle. Mm-hmm. And so in the pelvic area, we have specialized bundles of nerves that really strongly react to more orgasmic stimulation. But we have those nerves in all muscles of our body. And so we can stimulate an orgasmic release in any muscle in the body. And I'm still dialing in if there's a specific pattern that it needs to go in for optimal effects. Mm-hmm. But I get pretty good results just playing around with it. It's a lot of fun. And it's just a rhythmic pulsing of muscle, kind of pumping, I guess is a good way to put it. And holding the muscle in a way that it can deeply relax, and then activating it. So so it's a pretty simple process, although I think actually doing it is not quite as easy as it sounds, because you have to be in tune with the muscle that you're trying to, you have to have awareness of the muscle that you're trying to work with.
Okay.
But if you can take some time and sit with your body and kind of check in with it, oftentimes you can get into that pattern. And so it's something that I teach as part of a larger sort of class or workshop, but it can be done. And once you're able to tap in to your body and learn how to do that, you can actually start moving even deeper and working with areas like the cervix. You can create a deep cervical orgasm just by stretching once you're that in tune with your body. Yeah, it's really amazing. And so that
pretty inviting.
It's pretty inviting. It's pretty amazing. It's something that that's kind of what I started working on a few years ago, and I'm slowly starting to explore working with other people, making sure that it's replicable, which it has been so far, and that it's easily teachable. And so I'm still figuring out how to teach it in a way that kind of everyone can use and understand. But it's really exciting that it is replicable, that people have been able to utilize it and heal deep trauma and release deep tension and feel orgasms of whatever kind either stronger or maybe, for the first time. So it's been
Mm-hmm.
really fun.
Do you have any stories of women that you've worked with and maybe have experienced an orgasm like this, especially maybe in a non-sexual sort of way, a non-sexual sort of experience, but it has really opened her up and allowed her to, undo some blocks that were in her life?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can even we use really simple movements to kind of start getting in tune with our body. And just in using those simple movements, in allowing your body to move in ways that it wants to, you can actually start to touch on that orgasmic energy. When women really focus on the connection between, their arm down into their heart and then down into their cervix, they can actually feel it. And something like a light switch clicks on, and they realize that they can release that deep tension. It doesn't have to be there. And so I think even more powerful than the actual orgasm is just that realization that they don't have to hold on to that tension anymore. They can let it go. And once you do that, once any woman does that, just approaching orgasm from any direction is easier. So whether it's a sexual orgasm or whether you're working on, a deep unwinding. I think my favorite was a woman that came to me, and she had I don't think it had been 15 years since she even tried to experience an orgasm. She had just given up. And we were only able to get in one session. It was a 2-hour session. And by the end, her whole posture had changed. It's about learning to use the cues in your body. As she learned to trust in her body and release the blockages that she was holding on to, she actually started just having, I think it was orgasmic energy in her shoulder. She was having a lot of pain in her shoulders and pain in the chest. When we kind of guard our heart, it often indicates that we're guarding our pelvis as well. So we started up in the chest area, and we shortened the muscles that were tight, and they softened and relaxed, and she was able to breathe deeply. So once she was able to breathe deeply, her body started naturally moving in waves, and she just kind of felt a contraction of her whole body and then an expansion. So she was having almost like a spiritual orgasm. It was really beautiful. And then she messaged me. We only got one session together, but she messaged me a couple weeks later that she was able to connect with her partner, and actually she's been able to achieve orgasm, with him ever since. Wow. And so, yeah, it's pretty normal for that to happen. It just takes the release of blockages. Learning how to release the blockages, it's a little bit of a process, but it can be done.
Do you feel like it's a lot of work that has to be done mentally, like a lot of talking, or do you think it's more of a kind of a physical release because I know you said, that you take your arm to your heart and the connection, in the heart and the womb and the cervix and all of that. So I'm just curious, do you find that the blockages come out more through this movement and breath work versus just talking about past issues, or is it a combination?
Yeah, I think it varies for everybody, but the mind-body connection is a really big part of it. And how I look at the mind piece of it, the mental piece of it, is we need to release the filters that tell us that we can't do this. We need to release the filters that tell us we're not good enough to experience orgasm, or that we have to be in pain. And so that's, it's mindset work. We don't focus as much on it as getting in the body. But if it comes up, then it's definitely something, you have to work through. I would say more than the mental stuff is the emotional stuff. Allowing ourselves to feel and process emotions that come up. As women, we often just stuff them down, whether it's sometimes even if we got to stuff down joy, we just got to keep pushing. And I think it's important to allow all of our emotions as much as possible to flow through us.
Do you have any, it sounds so simple. It sounds so almost intuitive and natural, right? To say, I want to be joyful and I want to, feel my feelings. But I know that even though many women desire that, it's really hard for them to get there. It's really hard for them to take themselves out of the hustle and out of, all the demands that are on their time, and to really put themselves first and to experience true self-love and self-care and really tapping into the joy centers and the playful side, etc. So how do you teach people? If you could give us some, tactical tips, some ways that we can start to really embrace this goddess side of ourselves, I think that would be so awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So going into emotions just a little more, I think that when we combine awareness of our body with awareness of our emotions, we get scared. We get scared that we're going to get stuck in emotions. But when we allow emotions to flow as we move our body, they just naturally flow, and then they're kind of gone. They will come back, but we don't need to hold on to them. So I think that's a big one for a lot of women, is you don't have to hold on to emotions.
That's huge.
You can just let them flow and let them be. And, they're not going to be gone forever. They'll come back, and that's okay. They're not something we need to be afraid of.
Right.
And when we can do that, we have so much more energy that's opened up because we're not holding on to them, that we can use for other things. And so it just naturally frees up our energy that we can use to cultivate our business, or we can reinvest it in ourselves and focus more on getting that deeper release and connecting with our deep feminine. So again, it's just making that choice, freeing up the energy and choosing what to do with it from there. It's just like investing in a business. You make some money, you reinvest it. Some of it you spend on fun stuff, but really it's about reinvesting your energy in yourself.
Yeah, and what I love about what you're saying, Hara, is that, a big part of my mission is to empower women to prioritize themselves. That we have the opportunity every day to choose exactly how we want to be, how we want to live our life, who we want to be with, etc. Sometimes there are obstacles, and sometimes we don't have 100% choice, but majority of the time we do. And when we can make that choice to prioritize ourselves and do the things like letting our emotions flow and feeling into our body, we see so many benefits all over. But when we resist and we struggle against that, right? And whatever that resistance, wherever those blocks come from, that's when the lack of joy and the stress and the mental disorders and a lot of the physical disorders, right? And all this sort of these issues that come up for us happen so much more dramatically.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a big part of it can even be self-sabotage,
Oh yeah.
Subconsciously we realize that we don't have enough energy to handle all of these things. So we find some way to circumvent it. But in reality, we do have the energy. We just have to free it up. So, right. When you make the decision to do that, you can choose life to be joyful as well. So actually, some of the really practical things that I use day to day, one of my favorite things to do, because we hold so much tension in our chest and shoulders, we kind of creep up all through the day, typing on the computer. I just like to do a simple bounce of the shoulders. It's just up and down.
I'm going to do it with you. I'm going to put my notepad down so I can do it with you.
Put it down. Just bounce the shoulders. And it can be gentle to start.
Okay.
Or it can be nice and big, and you can get your arms in it. You can even stand up and bounce on the balls of your feet. But we're really just focusing on getting movement in the chest.
Okay.
Right? It's something that we don't tend to move very often. We'll take shallower breaths than we need to.
Right.
So
that feels really good, actually.
Yeah, and it can release a lot of tension. It feels
fun too.
Yeah, when you draw your shoulder blades together. So would we add in actively contracting a muscle and bouncing? It starts to get in that rhythmic pulsing that we need to create an orgasmic effect.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of the first steps that I guide people through. And so just doing that bouncing, I mean, if you bring that in a few times a day, you'll automatically notice that you're holding yourself differently, and that you have a little bit easier time taking a deep breath. There's maybe a little less tension in your chest. And taking a nice deep breath. And then once you can take a deeper breath, you can start to move deeper into your body. So it really is, it's a cyclical process. It's a spiral process. We get a little bit more into our body with each time we focus on ourselves, each time we refocus on our needs.
Yeah, I like that. That's fun.
Yeah, so bounce through the day, bounce your shoulders through the day. And of course, there's lots of other things that you can do to relieve chest tension. We do supported chest stretches, you know, anything to open the chest.
Right.
So just bringing your arms open throughout the day. Anything that is not rounding forward, that's, you know, kind of opening up the body. Yeah, open the body. That's a really big one for women. I think we tend to really just kind of close in around our hearts.
Right.
We close in around our bellies. So just opening can support health in general, digestion, menstrual health, as well as opening us up more to that orgasmic energy.
What about with the root chakra areas, like hip openers? Is that something that also is good to just kind of get energy flowing? And
oh, definitely. Yeah, one of my favorite practices is the slow twerk. So, you know, you just think about you're tilting your pelvic bowl forward and contracting your belly.
Okay.
And then you're releasing it, letting your belly open, letting your pelvis drop back, contracting your low back, and just alternating that energy really awakens the pelvic floor. And that actually can help all the way up into your adrenals, into your kidneys. We do a lot of pelvic floor exercises. I'm not a big fan of Kegels.
Okay.
But I'm a fan of similar exercises. I think Kegels don't allow for a controlled release as much as it needs to.
So, and let's just define what a Kegel is, because I know that word also gets thrown around. So
it does, yes. Yeah, so a Kegel is a contraction of the pelvic floor.
Okay.
But I think where a lot of people what a lot of people don't get is that you also need to consciously release the pelvic floor. So it becomes more like an elevator. You're drawing up the pelvic floor and releasing the pelvic floor. But the other thing that we don't really talk about is that there's not just a pelvic floor. There's pelvic walls. There's a pelvic ceiling. It's like a cave or a room. And so we want to activate all areas of the pelvis. Of that whole area. So the whole area, yeah. So I like to have women do exercises. One of my favorite is called Pussy Fruit. And pelvic floor or pelvic cave, I call it exercises, is called Pussy Fruit. And so you can imagine that you have a really ripe, luscious piece of fruit, your favorite kind of fruit, nestled in your pelvis. And we're going to use the walls of your pelvis to slowly eat the sides of the fruit all around. Yeah, and so I learned this exercise from my Danish midwife and yoga teacher. So you can imagine it in a really beautiful, sultry Danish accent, something that I can't do, if you like. Beautiful blonde woman, goddess, you know, kind of sprawled, reading this to you. But yeah, so you're using all areas, all of the walls of your pelvis, even getting into up at the top, the roof more. And so it activates all of the pelvic walls. It's a very strong visual. Visualization is really effective for pelvic work. And sometimes when you're just starting out, that might be all you're able to do when you have so much tension that you can't actively flex and release the muscles like you need to.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, doing exercises like that just really help to cultivate a core strength and a pelvic floor ability to contract and release.
So when you're doing the pelvic cave work, is it something you do seated, standing, lying down? What's the best position to put your body in?
Yeah, I mean, you can incorporate it in any position. It's easiest to learn kind of when you're seated or laying down and really focused on your body. Okay. But once you've incorporated it, I mean, I'll do it washing dishes. I'll do pelvic cave work when I'm out walking around, in line at the grocery store, you know, who knew? So, yeah, so it's just something. I love it. Yeah, it's something that you need to incorporate into your daily routine if you want it to be effective. Right. You know, just doing it once in a while, it's fine. That's why we make it playful. So, you know, it's easy enough to visualize a yummy piece of fruit in there and you're eating it. So just, you know, doing the playful things that you can do. We talked about playful consistency earlier. Right. Yeah, just getting in as much play as you can regularly for things that are effective. So playful, effective, and consistent, I would say are kind of the keys to cultivating orgasmic energy.
Oh, I love that. Well, and the other thing too is, and I'm so guilty of this, it's like, I want to take everything so seriously. So, you know, immediately I'm thinking, okay, pelvic cave, piece of fruit, eat it, unwrap it. How do I do this? How do I dissect it? How do I do it perfect? And then I have to like stop myself because I'm like, wait, no, just relax into it, have fun with it. There's no right way. It's just having fun, being in tune with your body, right? Going with the visualization and
Yes.
doing it in a way that feels good to you, and working on that, you know, release and contract, like you say, but making it fun and not serious. And I think that if we can, you know, continue to have that mindset of the consistent play, right, throughout our day, whether it's doing pelvic cave exercises or shoulder bounces or, you know, anything that we're doing, we're going to be so much more productive and joyful and just less stress in our lives. So many benefits.
Yes, definitely. I will say that since I started just really focusing on play and intuition and just allowing my needs to be met on a daily basis, I've been so much more productive. I'm working on 2 businesses, and it's been all joyful. I've been minimizing the stress and minimizing the things that I don't like to do.
Right.
And it's still working out. Things are still moving, and probably a lot faster than if I had tried to hustle and push and force myself to do things I didn't want to do.
I love
so it's
that.
possible. It's possible to be that in-demand woman, to be the mother, to be all of those things you want to be, and to do it with joy and play. And I would say it's actually necessary. It's the way to go. Yeah.
I so agree with you. My word this year is surrender. And the reason I chose that word is because I felt very strongly that most of my life, I have been that woman that's kind of hustled, forced things to happen, been on a very specific time frame and felt like, you know, I have to do everything in this order and right now and, you know, shove things into boxes. And it just never really works and never makes me feel good. And as I've been embracing this concept of surrender, I've noticed that everything is falling into place as it should. Yes. And I feel so good in my body and like mind, body, spirit. And it's amazing how I'll have that moment of, oh my gosh, I have to force this thing to happen. But then I remind myself, no, surrender. It's going to work out. And literally within, I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour, a short amount of time, whatever it is that I was trying to force to happen, it comes through without me doing anything other than just reminding myself to surrender.
Yes. Ease and grace. It's all about ease and grace. I love it.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That's awesome.
But I love this. I love this focus on joy and play and, you know, feeling into our bodies. Beautiful.
Yeah. And it sounds like, I mean, that's a big part of it for me too, is surrender. And the surrender is surrendering to allowing yourself to experience that fun, to experience that joy. You know, I don't know why we have such a block to it as women.
Right.
But if you can do it, if you can make that decision to shift into it, for me, it was almost immediate. And anytime I kind of try to step out of it and back into hustle, my body immediately says nope, and something will stop me from doing it. And it's like, okay, shift right back. Everything flows smoothly again. So yeah, I'm glad you're experiencing it too.
Well, and I love that you said you want to worship yourself as a goddess, and that has been a huge shift for you. So I think that that's really inspirational.
Yeah, I mean, if it's hard to worship yourself, just imagine yourself as the goddess and worship the goddess through your body. Let your body be a temple holding her spirit. It's kind of a weird shift, but it worked for me. And it works to get you to a point where you realize that you actually are the goddess. And so you're worshiping her and you're worshiping yourself at the same time. And it's just such a beautiful thing. It's not self-centered. It's not, you know, conceited. It's just deeply nourishing. And from that, you can deeply nourish other people or your business or whatever else it is that you choose to do.
Oh, that's amazing. I love it. Well, I want you to share how more people can get in touch with you, Hara, because I think that your message and your energy is beautiful. And you just bring such, you know, truly divine feminine energy, and you embody this, you know, empowered woman. And I think that energy is within all of us. Like you said, we just have to choose to embrace it and to really showcase that side of ourselves.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Tell everybody where they can connect with you if they want to learn more about you, if they want to participate in any of your workshops, how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just really starting to get all my stuff online. I'm a Luddite, I admit it. But so if you are in the Portland area or you would like to book me for a personal retreat, you can do that through Shine Mobile Wellness, www.shinemobilewellness.com. But if you want to just kind of get right into the juicy stuff, I have a free Facebook group called Into the Juicy Stuff with Me. I have a free Facebook group called the Vibrant, Abundant, Orgasmic Goddess Temple. And just, join the group, we'll get you in. And we have a new challenge coming up, a pre-Valentine's self-love challenge. And we're still kind of working on inner fire stuff for winter. So really cultivating a strong inner fire so that, we can deal with the cold, whether it's emotional or physical or whatever. Yeah, awesome. Lots of good stuff going on there.
Awesome. That's so cool. Well, I think I'm in the group, so I'm going to have to make sure to check all that out because I love this stuff, and I feel like I need more of it in my life to remind me of how to have more consistent play, bring the joy, celebrate the goddess within all of that. So
yes, do it, girl. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm in. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Hara, for being here. It was such a pleasure to have you. I love everything that you taught. I'm going to start working my pelvic cave. That'll definitely work well for my lap dance and pole dancing classes. And
yeah, definitely. I've got another good one for you that I share in the group. So yeah, get in there and you'll find out what it is.
Okay, awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so appreciative for you and so much love and positive energy and just your beautiful spirit. It's lovely to have you here and to be able to share you with my audience. So thank you for your time today.
Yes, thanks everyone. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching or listening on the podcast or Sassy AF TV on YouTube. We're so glad that you're here and we look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. It was so much fun and such a pleasure to speak with Hara. I love her playful way of teaching us to channel our energy just by doing simple movements like shaking our shoulders. And what about her slow twerk and pelvic fruit exercises? Hello! This is a great way to reinvest energy in ourselves. Thanks again for being here and tuning in for another episode of Sassy AF TV. It would mean the world to me if you would leave a comment and take a screenshot to share it with your tribe on Instagram or Facebook. Don't forget to tag me at Sassy Healthy Fit. Then make sure to head over to sassyhealthy.fit and sign up for our mailing list so you always know the latest and greatest in sassy fun. See you next time.